Since Watergate, every presidential candidate has released their tax returns. This is so voters could get an idea of the financial relationships they'd bring to office. But not Donald Trump. Let's take a look back at how he managed to avoid it. Way back in 2012, Trump tells Greta Van Susteren point blank that then Republican candidate Mitt Romney should release his tax returns. 2 years later, on Irish TV promoting his golf course, Trump says he would, quote, absolutely release his tax returns if he decided to run for office.
If I decide to run for office, I'll produce my tax returns, absolutely, and I would love to do that.
Flash forward to 4 months before the escalator riot heard round the world. Trump tells conservative radio host Hugh Hewitt,
well, I'd certainly go over tax returns, and I will tell you, nobody knows the tax return business or world better than me.
October of the same year, now a candidate, Trump gives us his first conditional statement.
Getting any closer to releasing your tax returns?
Well, I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about maybe when we find out the true story on Hillary's emails.
3 months later, with no mention of emails or Hillary Clinton, he tells NBC's Chuck Todd the release is delayed because of the size of his returns, calling them, quote, very big and very beautiful. In early February, Trump tells Matt Lauer his returns will be released.
Probably over the next few months. They're being worked on right now.
What's the holdup?
They're very big tax returns. The biggest, I guarantee you this, the biggest ever in the history of what we're doing.
But just 2 weeks later, during a primary debate, Trump introduces the famous and entirely baseless audit excuse.
Every year they audit me. Nobody gets audited. I have friends that are very wealthy people. They never get audited. I get audited every year.
According to the IRS, nothing, including an audit, prevents individuals from sharing their own tax information. A month later, the Trump camp adopts the audit argument as the official party line, issuing a letter from his accountants saying his tax returns since 2009 are under review by the IRS. However, the letter doesn't address whether he's allowed to release them. A couple of months later, Trump says he also can't release his returns from 1977 through 2008 because, quote, they're all linked. Of course, that doesn't matter. He could release any of his returns at any time. Just a week later, he tells the AP he doesn't expect to release his returns before November, adding there's, quote, nothing to learn from them. 2 days after that, he tells ABC News,
So I fight very hard to pay as little tax as possible.
What is your tax rate?
It's none of your business. You'll see it when I release.
A week after the Republican National Convention, then campaign chair Paul Manafort confirms the audit line on CBS This Morning.
Mr. Trump has said that his taxes are under audit and he will not be releasing them. It has nothing to do with Russia. It has nothing to do with any country other than the United States.
But the very next day, Trump pivots slightly to the what's the big deal strategy. Fast forward to September 7th on the O'Reilly Factor.
When the audit is complete, I'll release my returns. I have no problem with it. It doesn't matter.
But the legal
how does
people
she
say
talk
you
about
could
my
do
tax
it
returns?
now,
Because in the
despite
meantime,
the
Bill.
At the first presidential debate, Trump brings us full circle. He returns to Hillary Clinton's emails.
I will release my tax returns against my lawyer's wishes when she releases her 33,000 emails that have been deleted.
A few months later, now the president-elect, Trump reaffirms the audit argument, but he also downplays the importance of his returns.
First of all, you learn very little from a tax return. You know, the only one that cares about my tax returns are the reporters.
Just 2 days after the inauguration, Kellyanne Conway declares unequivocally that Trump simply will not release the returns.
The White House response is that he's not going to release his tax returns.
A day later, she restates the audit excuse on Twitter. It's now time for Trump to file his 2016 tax returns, just like the rest of us. While presidents are audited automatically, his predecessors have released their returns each year, and so could Trump. For one thing, it would be a great way for him to prove he has no conflicts of interest.
It has nothing to do with Russia. It has nothing to do with any country other than the United States.